The question, if a person understands the anatta, is that person still in the samsara or is liberated from the samsara? Here we'll have to specify the word understand, because according to Buddha's teaching, there are the three, you may call it degrees or three status of understanding any subject or anything. But that knowledge we call three kinds of knowledge Buddha prescribed. One is we call Suttamaya Jnana. Jnana means wisdom or the knowledge you gain. Suttamaya means, during Buddha's time there is no writing or printing science has been established as yet. So mostly they learn by listening to the talks. So that's why sutta means hearing. So the meaning, the knowledge you gain by hearing the talks or by discussing and learning by hearing. Meaning general knowledge. General knowledge you gain nowadays by either by reading or listening to tapes or these cassettes or CDs or MVD. Now many electronic gadgets going on. Anyway, so the knowledge you gain by, you may call it as a second-hand knowledge or hearsay from other person, is we call Suttamaya Jnana. That's one kind of knowledge. Then the second knowledge is we call Cintamaya Jnana. Pali word Cintamaya Jnana means the knowledge you gain by thinking. Like modern day scientists and philosophers. As you all are familiar, this scientist Newton, while he's walking nearby an apple tree and the apple fall from the tree, and he started thinking, why apple when its stalk is intact, it is dangling from the tree, and when it is off the stalk, why it should fall towards the ground? And he postulated this gravity theory. So this kind of knowledge gained by thinking or postulating is we call Cintamaya Jnana. Then the third knowledge is, in Pali we call Bhavanamaya Jnana. Pali word Bhavana means mental culture or mental development. Like you all are doing by meditation, especially Vipassana Bhavana or insight meditation. By your own intuitive, personal, experiential knowledge, the knowledge you gain, that type of knowledge is called Bhavanamaya Jnana. The knowledge you gain by practicing Vipassana Bhavana or insight meditation. So there are three types of knowledges. So in realizing the Dhamma or the absolute truth, the most important is to gain the third type of knowledge, which we call Bhavanamaya Jnana. So after understanding that, now we can come back to answer the question. So if a person understands the word Anatta, or the phenomena of Anatta or non-self, by this Bhavanamaya knowledge, that first two knowledge only is not enough, though it is quite helpful to have this Suttamaya Jnana by hearing or reading or by second-hand knowledge or by Cintamaya Jnana by one's own thinking. But the most important what we call is realization, or the knowledge you gain by your own penetrative insight, experiential knowledge, which we call Bhavanamaya Jnana. So if a person really can penetrate the Anatta theory or Anatta phenomena, then one is assured that one will get some kind of enlightenment. And the first time one came, one will be out of samsara within the 7 more existences the most. And if one goes on gaining the second stage, third stage, and the final arhata stage, the first stage is called one's ratana after Sotapanna, Sagadagami, Mega. If one realizes the Anatta, then one will have to go only one more rebirth in the samsara. For Anagami, non-ratana means that person won't return to sensual realms. He'll be, after this life, the Anagami person will be reborn in Sotavada Brahma realm, and from there he will gain the Arhata, the final holiness, and he'll never return to this sensual realm of humans and devas. And from there he go to Pre-Nibbana, means in the final Nibbana. If one attains up to the 4th stage of enlightenment in this very life, then he'll be out of samsara at the end of this life. So, if no more questions for the moment, let me continue to discuss about this ultimate reality. So from many of our talks, or if you study Buddha's Dhamma, we call Tipitaka, 3 divisions of Buddha's teaching. The main emphasis is to understand this Nama and Rupa, a living being, so-called a being, is just made up of the psychophysical complex, mind and the physical body and the mind, which call Nama and Rupa. And for those who are interested a little bit to elaborate, 5 aggregates or Panchupada Nakanda, 5 aggregates. And through meditation of Vipassana Bhavana or insight meditation too, as we have often pointed out, we use this Nama and Rupa or the 5 aggregates as our object of meditation, and we have to contemplate on that. And we realize, we use the word realize, not just ordinary understanding only, just understanding and forgetting. We must realize with our own intuitive, personal, penetrating knowledge the true nature of these 3 characteristics of all phenomena: anicca, impermanence; dukkha, unsatisfactoriness; and anatta, egolessness of every phenomena, both mind and the matter. So one can understand the importance of understanding not just theoretically, by our own practical experience, also by meditation. We must firmly establish in this understanding, or you realize with heart and soul. So to understand these 3 universal characteristics of all phenomena, anicca, dukkha and anatta, impermanence, unsatisfactoriness and egolessness, we must begin the very first insight we should realize by our own intuitive knowledge and meditational practice is this discerning the difference between the 2 physical and mental phenomena, which we call mind and the matter, and Pali, Nama and Rupa. The mind is Nama, mental component of a being, The brain is just made up of two parts, psychophysical complex compounded. The mental energy functioning dependent on this physical body base. So these two things we must clearly see means by our own meditational practice. We must convincingly realize not only once or not just superficial understanding, repeatedly until it becomes indelible. It cannot be erased from our mind or from our understanding or realization, unshakable realization, never changing. So until that level, we must be able to understand. So the word understand cannot be used as very superficial and loosely. True understanding is unshakable acceptance of the truth of the nature of realization one experienced by meditation. So that is very important. Because most meditators are confused while meditating. They don't actually report realizing this true nature of mind and the matter. Instead, they just usually report these sensations they felt and the tension that arise and all that. So the very first fundamental understanding or realization is this Namarupa Pariciranya, the discerning or distinguishing or analytical knowledge of the difference between the two, mind and the matter. So in practical meditation, how are you to recognize to these elements, Rupa and Nama? Rupa and Abhidhamma Buddha has expounded 28 material phenomena. Never mind, for us not to confuse. In practical meditation, we need to be able to identify, to understand that it is material phenomena or matter by 4 characteristics. And what in life do we recognize or we remember one thing, either living or inanimate things by its characteristics. So when we meet a stranger, we record or we examine one's characteristics for future reference. So also a meditator must be able to recognize these elements in your meditation. That is the first importance. So Rupa or physical matter is composed of 4 gross elements that I have many times explained to you all here in detail. So it's worth revising, because as I said, not just ordinary understanding once or twice. It must be permanently or firmly established in our understanding. So any Rupa or material phenomena is composed of 4 great elements, Mahabhuta. Paliwa Mahabhuta means earth element, water element, fire element, and wind element. Not actual earth, what we see. Like the earth, the characteristic nature of the earth element can be also detected in our body, because our body too is made up of these elements. So we must be able to identify in our meditation the earth element, water element, heat element, and wind element. So the next element is Apodhatu. Apodhatu is translated as water element. Water, as you all know, is fluidity or liquidity or fluidity. So it has a trickling power, and its function is cohesion. The individual cells are adhered together by this Apodhatu or water element. So it is a cohesive function, and it is trickling property and its liquidity. It's like in your daily routine, while noting if you are perspiring, sweating, or tears sometimes rolling down, or saliva small collecting in the mouth, or when you are going to toilet. All these are Apo Dhatu or water element. And the fourth element is element of motion, which we call Vayu Dhatu, wind element. Wind element is the element of motion. When we walk, when we move the limbs, or when we are winking or of the eyelids, or all motions, and even if we can sit straight and stiff, because of this one, it is a supporting property. It supports the other elements. It's to maintain a proper deportment of the body. So this is the element of motion or Vayu Dhatu, wind element. So as a rupa or physical phenomena, we must be able to identify this physical phenomena, material phenomena, or bodily phenomena, whatever you go, by these four elements, characteristics of these four Mahabhuta, basic elements, gross elements. Then how to recognize the nama or the mental fighter? So-called a being is, we are composed of two categories, the psychophysical complex. We are compounded together with this physical process. Now I have explained, can be recognized by the characteristics of four elements. And how do you recognize the nama or the mind? Buddha in Dhammapada, he said, the mind's four characteristics to recognize the mind. One is, Buddha said, Durangama. Directly translated, the mind travels far and wide. Very far, it can travel far and wide. Meaning, mind inclines towards the object. So however the object may be far away, mind can incline towards the object. And that is the meaning. Buddha said, Durangama. Mind can travel very far and wide. Like though you may be sitting here, if you think back about your country or your home, so far away, so many miles or kilometers away. But we can incline by sitting here in a very short moment, we can take out the object, however far. So that is one characteristic of the mind, is it can incline towards the object regardless of the distance. Then the second characteristic of mind, Buddha expounded, is Ekachara. Pali wa Ekachara means mind travels alone. It moves about alone. Or singly. Meaning, mind arises one by one citta by one citta. Like now, you may think that you are seeing my body and the form, as well as hearing my voice at the same time. No. When your eye sees my image, you cannot hear what I am saying. When you hear what I said, then you cannot see the form or the body. Because mind can arise only one at a time. Only that arisen mind sees, then new mind can arise. Meaning, while you are seeing, you cannot hear. While you are hearing, you cannot see. Because the two doors are different for the object to arise. Because the ear cannot see, the eye cannot hear. And that is what is meant when Buddha said, Ekachara. Mind travel alone means mind can arise only one at a time. And that is important fact that we make use of. And when you report too many thoughts wandering in mind, we ask you to note it. If you can note it carefully, and when your noting mind is strong, the thought cannot continue. Because you don't note it properly or deeply, just superficially, then the thoughts just continue arising. Actually, if your noting mind is strong, the thought cannot continue. We are making use of this principle. Ekachara, mind arises only one at a time. Two thought movements cannot arise together. Then the third characteristic of the mind is, Buddha said, asarira. The mind has got no body. Sarira means no, meaning it has got no physical property. Like body, we have earth element, water element, fire element, wind element. Mind is just a kind of energy. It is not made up of physical elements. That is why Buddha said, asarira, directly translated, mind has got no body means asarira. Means no body means no physical components or physical part. It is just a kind of energy, asarira. So by the mnemonic is, if you ask a person, what is the mind? It is no matter. What is matter? It is never mind. So easy to remember. Mind is not matter, matter is not mind. They are two different things. Mind is just energy. Basing on this physical body, it arises. The physical body is composed of physical elements. So what is the mind? Mind is no matter. What is matter? Matter is never mind. So just remember that. That's what is meant by Buddha said, asarira. Mind has got no physical body. Then the fourth characteristic of the mind, Buddha said, is guhasaya. Pali word guhasaya means the mind dwell or the mind stays in a cave. Guha means a cave. Meaning mind arises basing on matter or the material organ. So here it is worthy of note. Mind has two levels. One is we call Bhavanga Citta in Pali. Bhavanga Citta is translated in English as life continuum. Bhavanga Citta, Citta is the mind. Bhavanga means continuous flow, like a stream and a current flowing. So this Bhavanga Citta, it is the mind that is taking place from birth to death, and when we are in full asleep. And when we are awakened by some kind of object that stimulate, that interrupt our this Bhavanga flow, then Viti Citta arise. Pali word Viti Citta means thought process. When like a person is fallen deep asleep, and if somebody couldn't wake up by touching the body, or by just, would that person maybe wake up by very strong song, outside song, or so that is any object that come through through the sixth sense door of the eye, the nose, the mouth, the body, and the mind, then the thought process begins. So here, what you know, thought process is dependent on the brain, activity of the brain, medical science, according to medical science. But Bhavanga Citta depends on the heart. Heart is a hollow organ, brain is a hollow organ, but Bhavanga Citta or life continuum arises due to the heartbeat. So that's why Buddha said Guhasaya. the mind has to take a base of this rupa or physical body. Bhavanga Citta takes the heart as a space, and Vidhi Citta takes the brain as a space. The analytical understanding of these elements is very important and beneficial. Buddha in Mahasatipatthana Sutta said, give the simile of a butcher carrying or pulling a cow with a rope towards the slaughterhouse. On the way, if somebody asks him, hey, what are you pulling? He say, I'm pulling a cow, because he's pulling a cow towards the slaughterhouse. Then he take the animal to the slaughterhouse, kill, and he cut up into bundles of meat, bones, viscera, and various bundles, and he bring back to the market, put on the table, and bundles of these different parts he has decided and cut through. And at that time, if somebody go and ask him, what are you selling? He won't say, I'm selling a cow. For he lost the concept of cow by cutting into different parts. He say, I'm selling meat, or I'm selling bones, or I'm selling the viscera. So that's how, if we, by meditation, if we can discern by our own intuitive personal knowledge, and this is very helpful in erasing or discarding this Sakaya Deity. Sakaya Deity or Atta Deity, ego belief or I or self-belief is, we are taking these aggregates or Nama and Rupa or all five aggregates together as some entity, some individual person, like that butcher. Before he killed the animal, on the way, if he was asked, what are you pulling? He say, I'm pulling a cow. After killing and deciding into various bundles, he lost the concept of the cow. If you go and ask the person, what are you selling? He say, I'm selling meat, not a cow. He lost the concept of the cow. So if you can discern the difference between mind and matter or five aggregates, then there will be a help in dissolving this Sakaya Deity, and it is the greatest benefit to gain.